In the age of information, Black mental enslavement is now a choice. You can decide to continue believing in things that literally insult your own intelligence and therefore remain mentally enslaved, therefore going from your cradles to your graves, having lived your entire lives being the white man's fools. Or you can learn the truth that emancipates your mind from white mental slavery. It begins with first learning that your perception of reality is not consistent with facts. It's an elaborate white deception. It has been distorted to serve the system of white supremacy. The basic tool required for the distortion of the perception of reality is to merely repeatedly feed false narratives into a society. Those repeated distorted narratives will create a false perception of reality that the public at large will then function based upon as being reality, although it's in fact not. This is what social scientists calls the illusory truth effect. It's also known as the illusionary truth effect. The illusory truth effect is when people have been made to believe that false information is true because of being constantly subjected to the false information. And they then begin functioning based upon the false information rather than the true reality. This is precisely what the white society has done. Public perception is shaped by the narratives that are repetitively fed into a society. Because the white society controls all of the societal narratives, they therefore literally owns the perception of reality. They've exploited this immense position of power by repeatedly feeding false information into society that creates a false perception of reality that aids in maintaining their white social dominance and social capital over the Black population. Case, point, and proof. The masses are currently functioning based upon the perception that a white man is responsible for why we have light bulbs. This is an illusory truth effect created by the fact that white historians have repeatedly miseducated us to believe that Thomas Edison is responsible for lighting up the world. But in reality, after Edison patented his light bulb, no companies purchased nor mass produced it. This is because it was deemed not efficient enough. It lit very dimly and it lasted only a few minutes. The light bulb that was purchased, mass produced, and that was spread around the globe was actually invented by an African-American inventor named Lewis Latimer. He sold the patent to the U.S. Electric Company in 1881. He was also dispatched around the world to oversee its installation. Therefore, in reality, the true factual narrative is that it was actually a black man that lit up the entire world. But this reality is not what our society functioned based upon. If it ever became commonly known and accepted that a black man is responsible for lighting up the earth, it would erode the white society's social dominance and social control over its black population. Falsely giving that credit to Thomas Edison prevents the erosion of white social dominance over its black population. By creating the false perception that a white man is responsible for lighting up the world, this perception literally serves and protects the system of white supremacy. According to white social scientists, perception is more important than reality for controlling people and for steering a society towards a persuaded objective, because people function based upon their perceptions rather than what actually is true. Therefore, as a means of maintaining white social dominance over black people, the white society has created the perception that whites are inherently superior to blacks. It's done by repetitively feeding false information into our society that deliberately subliminally conveys that false premise. A social science fact is that all societies function based upon the narratives that are repetitively fed into the society. The white society is literally falsely scripted to keep the society functioning in ways that aids in maintaining white social dominance over the black population. Our ignorance of this fact gives them their greatest power over us. White propagandists have fed lots of false information into our society that are necessary for maintaining white social dominance over black people. The hidden reality and facts are that the U.S. largest recipients of welfare, largest benefactors of affirmative action, and the group that commits most violent crimes are in fact Caucasians. The Caucasians also falsely depicts themselves as being the highest evolved Homo sapiens while depicting we Africans as being the lowest evolved. The truth is that Caucasians are actually descendants of the Neanderthal primates of ancient Europe. And that Africans are the true Homo sapiens. DNA analysis have scientifically proven that Africans' melanated chocolate skin and our hair type, our woolly hair type, are the direct result of Homo sapien DNA. And that Caucasians' pink skin and long animalistic hair type are a direct result of Neanderthal DNA. Unlike Caucasians that evolved from lower primates, Africans have always been Homo sapiens. Africans are the only pure homogeneous human species, and the Darwin evolutionary theory chart does not apply to Africans. The Neanderthals evolved as a completely separate species from we African Homo sapiens. However, although Caucasians share more physical characteristics with those pink-skinned, long-haired Neanderthals of Europe than they presently do with we melanated Africans, they've totally separated themselves from their Neanderthal ancestors and have falsely attached themselves onto the Homo sapien history of we Africans in order to falsely give themselves a Homo sapien identity. Whenever those who obviously despises us so uncharacteristically turns around and makes a claim that they came from us, doing so always somehow benefits themselves. Caucasians are not African Homo sapiens that turned white due to migrating to the colder climate of Europe as they've misled millions to believe. The scientific term for Caucasians are actually Homo sapiens sapiens, which are actually subspecies of Homo sapiens. The term Homo sapiens was directly designated to Caucasians to confuse, to make it appear that they're Homo sapiens, but they are not. The truth that the repeated sapiens is referred to a subspecies of primates. The scientific term of Africans is Homo sapiens. The name Homo sapien means wise humans. Homo is the Latin word for human or man, and sapien is derived from a Latin word that means wise or astute. If you were taught our true hidden narratives, you would know that Homo sapien, meaning wise human, is appropriate for Africans because we Africans introduced science, writing, math, and philosophy to the world. The world's oldest university, library, manuscript, encyclopedia, human prosthetic, mathematical tools, medical journal, and the world's oldest standing kingdom are all located in Africa. The world's largest wall ever built is not the Great Wall of China. It's actually the Great Wall of Benin, located in Nigeria. It's 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China. Africans are also the first to build in stone and the first to smelt metal. Africans invented the wheel, paper, clock, the calendar, the concept of 24 hours in a day, the haircut, the 365-day calendar, leap year, organized labor, surgical instruments, cosmetic, the plow, the wheel, ink pen, the shoe, high heel shoes, the condoms, hair wigs, hair dye, hair extensions, afro picks, makeup, hairbrush, keys, hair combs, the lever, vases, bread mint, the chisel, toothpaste, door locks, shaving, writing, medicine, paved roads, governments. Furthermore, long before the Europeans invaded Africa, it was Africans that civilized Europe. All of Greece's first scholars received their formal education in Africa. Africans introduced reading, writing, shaving, and the use of toothpaste, perfume, fragrance oil, deodorant, and even the daily bath to Europeans. Africans civilized the world. Furthermore, in spite of cultural traumas wrought by the injustice of white racism and slavery, most inventions that revolutionized the world were either invented by we Africans or were directly inspired by early inventions by we Africans. Without we Africans, there would exist no internet, no cell phone. We wouldn't have the cameras and microphones on our cell phones. We wouldn't have the accurate weather forecasting system. We wouldn't have the cataract laser removal scope. There'd be no emails, no GPS, no hearing aids, no touch-tone phones, no caller ID, no home surveillance security systems, no home game cartridge, no motorized vehicles, no steam engines, no traffic lights, no working light bulbs, no elevators, therefore no skyscrapers. There'd be no air conditioning, no modern colored PC, no 3D movies, no central heatings, no refrigerators, no doorknobs, no helicopters, no washing machines, no lawnmowers, no dryers, no refrigerated trucks, no blood banks, no fiber optics, no nanotechnology, no female sanitary pad, no bathroom tissue holders, no pencil sharpener, etc., etc. The hidden fact is that most things that we use every day came from the genius minds of Black people. Black people have in fact enriched the lives of nearly every person on this planet with our inventions. But this is the reality that you're not being told. I know when lies have been gradually sold to the masses over generations, the truth will seem absolutely absurd and the speaker a raving lunatic. Nonetheless, those of us who know the truth must teach African proverb. The entire history we've been taught within our school is not true history. It's been whitewashed to make Caucasian appear more significant throughout history than they truly were, while making we Black people appear to be the leeches of society that haven't contributed much. It is entirely, schools are tools for the government designed to mold our character accordingly to the will of the government. And the government wants to maintain its white social dominance over the Black population. It is time for us to wake up to our reality. There's no more excuse for believing in dumb shit. The real Matrix is not a computer simulation. It's not a movie, nor does it have anything to do with a red pill. It's an elaborate perception management system designed to create and sustain false assumptions within the society that aids the white society in maintaining its white social dominance and social capital over Black people. Perception management propaganda is a technique that involves altering the public's perception of reality to suit the objective of the ruling class. Don't be fooled. If the oppressors were truly superior, they wouldn't have to tell so many lies and distort so many facts to convey it. Nor would they have to work this hard to handicap those whom they claim to be our inferior. The truth is the opposite from everything they manipulate you to believe. Welcome to the real world. One love and peace.